guys, and welcome to another broadcast. If you're joining me here on Facebook, welcome. Please take a second to hit that like button so that I know that you're here and that you'll be notified when I go live in the future or post a new video or some information to my Facebook page. And if you're joining me here on YouTube, welcome as always. And if you would like to hit that subscribe button, I definitely appreciate it. And again, you'll be notified when I go live or post some videos or content to my YouTube channel. So, my name is Diane Parham. Tonight we are going to be talking about dehydration, and I'm going to give you a little tip on some things that I do to make sure that I get enough water in my body in the course of a day, some boundaries that I've sort of created for myself, and some new trigger habits that I have developed. And then if you want to stay till the end, I'm going to share with you how I ordered my dinner last night at one of our favorite Latin restaurants here in town, and some of the things that I do to make sure that Mexican food is my favorite, and just some of the boundaries that I've created and some tips that I can give you on how to order when you're out at a restaurant to make sure that you stay within your nutritional guidelines. So very quickly, my name is Diane, and for the past 25 years, I have been helping women find nutritional plans and fitness programs to help them look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And for me, as an aging woman, that has been done through intermittent fasting. And now I have a course online where I help women learn how to incorporate healthy and balanced nutrition in their life so that they can look and feel their best and also live their most authentic life. So tonight we're going to talk about dehydration, and we're going to talk about it specifically in regards to intermittent fasting. And within the course that I offer, we do have a 30-minute consultation call. And during that consultation call, that's when I kind of help you guys as my students, or help my students kind of, figure out some things that maybe are keeping them from getting the best results that they're looking for, or maybe some stumbling blocks that they have, or if they're feeling a different way than, let's say, maybe the majority of the women in the group are feeling, we kind of like hammer down some things that are going on in their life and try to help them find some tweaks so that they can feel better and, in fact, get the results that they were hoping for. And so the last couple of weeks, a big thing that has come up is through these consult calls and conversations that I'm having with people online, is the fact that a lot of women are sort of putting themselves in a dehydration state without even realizing it. And I did the same thing when I was fasting initially, and I'm going to kind of share with you my story and then some advice that I'm giving some other women. And so when you are intermittent fasting, you do go long periods of time without taking in any calories, most specifically food calories. And so what happens oftentimes, especially in the beginning when you're first learning how to intermittent fast correctly and really put yourself in a fasted state as opposed to, just not eating food, and there is a big difference, which we learn in our course, is that we tend to avoid food situations, and oftentimes with food situations comes water. And I know that, I've always been very diligent about drinking water. I've had water with me, like in water bottles throughout my day, and I usually try to drink water before I eat, during I eat, after I eat. And so I noticed that when I was kind of avoiding food situations or purposely putting myself into a state of not being around food until very specific hours, that I too was becoming dehydrated. And so I had to create some triggers or some habits that were new in my life to make sure that I was in fact getting the water and the hydration that my body needed. And now we are in the summer months, so it is a lot hotter. It's a lot easier to become dehydrated, so it is even more important for us to be aware of some of the signs and symptoms of dehydration and some things that we can do to make sure that that doesn't happen to us. So some of the complaints that women have been having, or that I even suffered myself as an intermittent fasting woman who was feeling a little off, where I had a headache, I felt fatigued, I kind of felt like I wasn't really truly getting in that fat adaptive mode. And if you're not in our course or you're not sure what a fat adaptation is, you can go through some of my videos on intermittent fasting, and I go through that there. And I just wasn't feeling the energy that I thought I should be feeling because everything else that I was doing was spot on. So I knew that there was just a tweak that I was missing, and it took me a very long time to figure it out. And so I just kind of had an aha moment of knowing what I used to do with water and what I was currently doing with water, and that I had purposely been avoiding situations around food or even avoiding my kitchen altogether. And so I was kind of creating a dehydration opportunity for myself without even realizing it, by just kind of avoiding the food in the kitchen and stuff like that. So Here's what I do now, and here's the advice that I offer for the women in my group who might be suffering dehydration as well, or to try to incorporate some of these tips and tricks to see if it maybe changes the way they're feeling and we can figure out if dehydration might be an issue. So I start my day every day with this mountain spring water. And I talk about this water a lot because it is spring water. It is mineralized. It has magnesium. It has sodium. It has potassium in it. This happens to be the non-carbonated one. This bottle is actually a little bigger than what I start my day with. This is a 33-ounce bottle. I generally have a 25-ounce bottle, and I drink the entire 25 ounces as I'm kind of going through my morning routine. So I have an amazing husband who makes sure that one of these bottles is sitting on my bathroom sink countertop every night before I go to bed. So it's there for me when I wake up in the morning, and then I also have a bottle of water that I drink before I go to bed, but I'll get into that in a second. So my husband makes sure that my habit and my trigger is there by placing one of these bottles on my bathroom sink. So before I even leave my bathroom in the morning, I have one of these consumed. That's my first 25 ounces of the day. So that's how I track that. My second kind of bottle of water I have through the day. So I have that before I have any coffee, and that's sort of a rule I have, that I will not allow myself to have a cup of coffee or anything else to drink in the morning until I have completed my first 25 ounces of water. And then I have my coffee, and then usually when I'm done with my coffee, I have a Pellegrino. So this is my carbonated water. So this helps with my hunger hormones. It helps keeps my ghrelin at bay. It helps my stomach stay full, and it just kind of helps me get through my morning routine without being too, emotionally tied into my hormones and my hunger pains. And so this is what I use as my second bottle of water. And this again is 25 ounces. So between my morning start, then I have my coffee, which doesn't count as water, and then I have my second bottle of water. I'm now at 50 ounces of water. Then, throughout the day, I might grab a Topo Chico, because this is one of the probably more flavorful kind of spring waters or mineral waters that's carbonated. And so I'll have one of these, super easy to grab. It's in my refrigerator. We also have a couple of lime that we always keep in the refrigerator. So it's just a little more of a oomph of a carbonated mineralized water than the Pellegrino is. This is 12 ounces, so that's just going to add another 12 ounces to my routine. And then I always drink out of some sort of water bottle. This is an insulated water bottle. It is not a Swell bottle. I got this at like our local sporting goods store. It was $10. Totally not expensive. I can put ice and water in this thing in the beginning of the day, leave it in my car all day if I'm out running errands, and come back to my car and there's still ice and cold water in here. And so this is one of those like stainless steel insulated kind of water bottles. I specifically sought out a water bottle that was 25 ounces, so that way it's easy for me to track how much water I'm drinking throughout the day. My goal is to get 100 ounces of water in my body. So with my morning Mountain Spring, I get 25, my Pellegrino's 25, and then I have a rule that I have 2 of these that I empty and refill every day as well. So what I do to make sure that I get this emptied, because remember, it's super easy to walk around with a water bottle. We see it all the time. You walk around with a water bottle today and you're like, oh, I'm drinking my water, and like you've never emptied it out. So you're kind of building up this false sense of hydration for yourself, but you have to actually get the water from the water bottle into your body. So I've created triggers for myself that help me make sure that I empty this at least twice a day, which is another 50 ounces of water. And so what I do when I'm leaving the house, so if I'm going to go run errands or pick the kids up from school or take the kids somewhere, every time I leave the house, I leave with this full of water. I have a personal rule that I do not get out of my car until this water bottle is empty. So if I'm going to be out for an hour, I have an hour to drink my 25 ounces of water. If I'm going to like run my daughter up the street and then bring her back home, I have the same rule. I just make sure that I start drinking this water as soon as I get in the car. And there have been times when I've actually sat in the garage in my car and I won't get out until this water bottle is empty, because it's just sort of a habit that I've created, and it's a rule that I have for myself. And we all know once we start breaking our rules, then they don't really become solidified habits for ourselves anymore. So it doesn't matter how long of the trip I take, it's always empty when I get home. I immediately go into the kitchen, refill it with water and ice, and then I make sure that anytime I leave the house, this is empty again. If I'm not leaving the house, then I have boundaries and sort of habit triggers that I've created for myself as well. And I just make sure that before I break my fast, that I've had 2 of these bottles of water in me as well. And then I close out my night with more of the Mountain Valley water. And again, this is mineralized water, so this helps me with night sweats, leg cramps, insomnia, all those things that we suffer with as we start to become the aging woman that we are, or suffering some hormonal imbalances. This has personally helped me a lot, and a lot of women in the courses that I teach. So I can easily keep my body hydrated by just sort of regulating the quantities of water in which I choose to drink, and then setting triggers for myself that if I leave the house and then I come back home, that a water bottle has to be emptied out. So I'm probably getting about 125 to 150 ounces in my body a day. Now I know if you're one of those, people who's tracking who says what on the internet, you're probably thinking that people say you're not supposed to have that much water. And in some situations that is true. But when you're intermittent fasting, what ends up happening is we need more water than the average person. I live in Texas. It is hot. I do exercise. Oftentimes I exercise or run outside. So my body personally just does well with 100 or more ounces of water. If I miss one of my 25 ounces, I generally feel it with fatigue, or I'm feeling maybe more hungry than I should be feeling, or I might be feeling a little bit grumpy. All of those things are just a sign for me that my body sends to me, those signals that I always teach you guys to listen to, that I need to drink more water. So if you're not feeling well, or you're feeling extra fatigued, or you're feeling like you can't get your hunger hormones under control, or maybe that you're hungrier than you should be, or you're feeling a little bit faint, or maybe even just a little bit irritable, I highly recommend that you start tracking your water intake and making sure that you are getting enough water in your body every day. If you feel like you can't get enough water in, I highly recommend that you track what it is that you're drinking throughout your day. Oftentimes what we end up doing is feeling like we're drinking all day, but we're not really drinking water. We might be drinking some of those crutch drinks that we talk about, or you're drinking coffee all day, which is also not a good thing to be doing because coffee is a diuretic and can lead to dehydration issues. So we really want to make sure that we are getting water in our body. And if you can, you want to supplement with mineral water to make sure that we're keeping our potassium and our magnesium and our sodium levels up, because that does aid in the fasting process. So really quickly, how I start my day is with a bottle of mountain spring water. My husband is amazing. He sets the habit and trigger up for me by making sure that I have one of these bottles at my sink in my bathroom, so that when I'm getting ready for my morning, that I can get my bottle of water in before I walk out of the bathroom and start my day in the kitchen with what I have next, which is a cup of coffee. Then throughout my day, I drink a Pellegrino, usually in the morning, because the carbonation does help settle down my hunger hormones and helps me get through that mid-morning fasting opportunity that I create for my body. If I'm feeling like I want a little extra something with carbonation, then I reach for a Topo Chico water, which is just a little bit fancier, flavorful, mineralized water. This is 12 ounces. I kind of count that as just a freebie. I generally don't count that. I usually just count my 25-ounce bottles because for me mentally, it's just a lot easier. Then I have my insulated water bottle, which does keep water icy cold throughout the day. So this is the one that I generally grab and take with me when I'm leaving the house to run errands. This is a 25-ounce bottle. I picked this bottle specifically because it just makes the math easier for me. I don't want to have to do a bunch of calculations. So everything that I drink, I try to make sure it's at least a 25-ounce or more container. My trigger for this is to make sure it's full when I get in the car, and I don't get out of my car until this bottle is empty. And my goal personally is to make sure I have 2 of these before I break my fast. And then the way I close out my water day is another 25-ounce bottle of this before I go to bed to help with insomnia, night sweats, leg cramps, all that other stuff I talked about. So it has made it very simple for me to make sure that my body stays hydrated by just making sure that the device in which that I drink my water out of is controlled by an amount. So everything that I drink is 25 ounces or more. And then I have those triggers set up and sort of a routine that I've developed for myself so that I can personally keep track of it very easily. So if I have my morning bottle, my carbonated bottle. I have at least 1 or 2 of these, and then I close out my night with a 25-ounce bottle. I'm drinking more than enough water to keep myself hydrated and out of dehydration status. And then anything that I do throughout the day, exercise-wise or food-wise, won't really affect me because I am hydrated. And remember, we can go days without food, but we cannot go days without enough water. So water is key to your success with what we're trying to do with intermittent fasting. And it's also key with what we're trying to do with balancing out our hormones and feeling good on the inside. And it does amazing things for our skin and hair and all that stuff too. So if you're not feeling your best, I highly recommend tracking your water for a couple of days and then seeing how much water you're actually getting in your body, not how much water you're carrying around with you throughout the day, but how much you're actually getting into your body. And then try to create some habits and some triggers for yourself that will make sure that it's mindless for you. Because remember, we want to just make sure that it's part of who we are. It's part of how we run our day. We don't want to have it be something that we're constantly having to remind ourselves to do. It's just a system and a process that you set up for yourself to make sure that you're successful and you can get the best results that you're looking for with what it is you're doing with your intermittent fasting or whatever you're doing. So let me go through Facebook really quick, and I'll welcome everybody and see if there's any questions. And I said at the beginning, if you jumped in late, that I'm going to share with you how I ordered my dinner last night at our favorite Latin restaurant and how I can eat Mexican food or Spanish food or Latin food pretty regularly and not fall off my goals with what I'm trying to do with my fasting and my nutrition. Hey, Stephanie, good to have you. Maria, good to see you. Kara's here. Robin, Susan, video feed isn't doing well on my end, but I'm here. Okay, I don't know. I'll see if there's any other comments. Cassandra, hello, Diane, and fellow ladies. Cassandra, good to see you. Faye, do you get stomach pain with dehydration, and what can I do? So if you're getting pain with dehydration, the best thing to do is make sure you're not dehydrated. So drink lots of water, set up your triggers, set up like little routines that you have. Make sure you're putting water bottles in places that are easy for you to find, and that will help a lot. Hey, my girl Joanna's here. Thanks for the walk this morning, Joanna. Margaret's here. Let's see. Asta. Hello, 16 or 20 seems to be magic number. Is there a point of doing 12 or 14? I'm still able to get 16 or 20. Yeah, if it's working for you, I say it's working for you. Betsy, would dehydration cause swollen feet? Yeah, it could. Definitely. So I would definitely say that's that thing too that you want to journal, like when you're getting swollen feet and kind of the activity that you're doing, and then up your water intake, track how many ounces of water you're drinking, see if the swollen ankles start to go down, and then you kind of have to just figure out what's your go-to number, Betsy, and then go from there. Cindy, good to have you here. Susan, how about regular water with a few drops of food grade essential oil for flavor? Sometimes I use lemon. Yeah, Susan, if that works for you, that's fine. I'm just not a big flavor person, other than my little bit of lime every now and then. Arnolfo, Liz is here. Good to see you. Molly, is iced green tea with a bit of stevia considered okay in the morning before breaking my fast? I'm not a coffee drinker. Is it? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's as long as there's no calories in it, you're fine, Molly. He sounds like a good guy. My husband is a good guy. Rita, hi Diane. I'm watching only part of this because okay, yeah, Rita, you can catch it on the recording. Diane, this is I always like Diane. This is Diane. Hey Diane. Okay, cool. Okay, let me go over on YouTube really quick, and I'm gonna run through these quick, and then I'll share with you my dinner from last night. Lonnie, good to see you. Susan, hi Dan. Looking forward to this July class. I'm looking forward to it too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I finally caught you live. Any idea where I can find Mountain Valley Spring Water in the Southeast? No, I would say go to their website, Fleming. Go to their website and then see if you can put like a zip code or something in. I find mine at Sprouts and Walmart and Kroger. So if you have any of those stores, look there. Yvonne, good idea to drink 25 ounces of water before coffee. Yes. Someone told me the other day that their nutritionist told them to start their digestive system with coffee. I mean, I guess, but it didn't make sense to me. So I don't put anything in my body until I have at least 25 ounces of water in me. Does drinking coffee and a vitamin during, no, you should be okay, Diana. Yvonne, I've been counting coffee as water. No, coffee is a diuretic. Water is water, and nothing can replace water except water. So just water. Melissa, I've recently cut back on my water intake on the referral of someone who states that you are depleting your body of electrolytes. That's why I drink mineral water. Let's see. I'm going to go through these really quick unless it's a question that has to do creative triggers today. I did really need you. Nicole, awesome. Hi Diane, what can I get? Okay, yeah. So Mountain Valley, you can get it in bulk through distributors. So you want to get Mountain Valley through, there's like local distributors. You can't get it from the company itself, which bums me out. But and I tried to even order it, and the shipping charges were astronomical. So you want to find a local dealer who does use Mountain Valley as one of the waters that they do, and then you can do like a delivery system, and you can get it in like the big 5-gallon things, or you can get it in individual bottles. I went to my Walmart. And because they only had like 4 or 5 bottles every time I went, and I told the manager at my Walmart, like, everybody in my neighborhood is looking for Mountain Valley water, and if you stock it, we'll buy it. And every time I go in there, I literally empty out everything that they have because it's close and I don't want to have to go too far to get it. And so they've actually upped the supply that they have. So if you have a store close by and they're stocking it, but maybe they don't have as much as you would like to buy at a time, just ask them if they'll buy a couple extra cases and just tell them that you'll buy it off of them. And my Walmart was totally cool about doing that. So that's a little tip for that if you guys want it. Okay. No lemon in the morning, does that make a difference? Okay, so Lisa, that the lemon in the morning and not the lemon in the morning is personal. So some people feel like they're fine with putting a little lemon in their water. They do great. And then other people feel like it knocks them out of their fat adaptive state. I say run the 7-day test. So if you feel like you want to put lemon in your water and you are okay, you're feeling okay, and you're feeling like you're getting the results that you want, then you're one of those people that can do that. If you feel like you are losing your fat adaptive feeling, or maybe you're getting hungrier, or it's just not working, you're just not getting the same feeling you were getting before you were putting lemon in your water, I say ditch the lemon and maybe find a lemon flavored LaCroix or something. That's not going to throw you out. Okay, good. Oh, Veronica, 20-hour fast. That's awesome. I found Mountain Valley at Walmart. Yeah, perfect, Molly. Thanks for sharing that. Evian, it has a nice mineral content as well. So Evian, mineral, Mountain Valley, and Topo Chico is good. My husband says Topo Chico, and other people have said this too, that Topo Chico is like having a Corona. So maybe because it's made in Mexico, I don't know. But this one has a really refreshing kind of like summer drink flavor. So if you're looking for something a little heavier than the Mountain Valley or something with some good flavor, this is it. And then they do have like a grapefruit and a lime flavor, I think. And it's natural flavoring, so I think you'll be okay. Okay, so let's jump to my dinner last night. So what I teach in my course is, like, when you're going out to a restaurant, I use a menu as a guide. So I never ever like say, like if the waiter came up to the table, I never say, I'll take the number 5, please, and like take it as it is on the menu. I use a menu as an idea creator for myself, and then I look at the description in food, and then I start taking stuff away and adding stuff in and moving stuff around. So I may create my own plate out of 5 different items on a menu. And I feel like, as a consumer, that is my right. I'm very polite about how I order, and we tip very well. So just because you go out to eat doesn't mean you have to be stuck to the confines of what someone put on a menu for the average person, because we are not average people. And that when we want to go out to dine, we should be able to stick within our guidelines and stick within the parameters that we set up for ourselves and the boundaries that we create for ourselves nutritionally. So last night we went to our favorite restaurant here in the Dallas area, and it's called Gloria's. And I love Mexican food, and I only go to Mexican restaurants or Latin restaurants or Spanish restaurants now that pass my corn tortilla chip test, because some restaurants have corn tortilla chips that absolutely make me feel like I've just been beat up the next day. And then some of them also fry them in soybean oil, and that makes me just super sick and knocks my hormones out of whack. And so first and foremost, they have to pass my corn tortilla chip test. And there are a couple that have, and Gloria's is one of those, because I love guacamole and salsa. And so that's one area I just never, ever cheat myself out of. I go and I eat chips and salsa and guacamole. And then now that I'm not afraid of eating avocado, I use the chip as sort of just a transport of an enormous amount of guacamole. So I eat way more guacamole than I used to and a lot less chips. And so that's a little tip too. So don't be afraid to put the guacamole on the chip and just eat less chips and just transport more guacamole with each dip is what I like to do. And then I always always have chicken tortilla soup at every Spanish, Latin, Mexican restaurant I go to. That is my sort of like rule of thumb, because there's nothing else on the menu that like logically fits into what I want to do nutritionally, because I'm not a big cheese eater, I'm not a big saucy eater, and I don't want to have any of the tortillas, and I have no idea how they're kind of making a lot of the stuff in the kitchen. So the chicken tortilla soup is usually loaded with a white breast chicken, so that's a very clean chicken, and it's usually loaded with a ton of fresh vegetables, and I always make sure that the broth is clear. So those are questions that you can ask your food server about any kind of soup or any kind of food that you're ordering. So I always ask those questions. Is there, usually in the description it'll say if it's white meat chicken, they usually kind of list what kind of vegetables in it, and they'll say it's a clear broth. And then I start taking stuff out. So oftentimes with the chicken tortilla soup, they put rice in it. Well, I don't want to eat the rice. I don't want to have those carbohydrates because, one, I just ate some tortilla chips and I don't want to double up on and overdo the carbohydrates. So I ask them if it's possible to remove the rice from the chicken tortilla soup. Oftentimes, they don't put the rice in until they serve up the bowl. So they're serving up your bowl and then they're dumping a bunch of rice in. So ask them that. Can I please order the soup without the rice? And if they say yes, then you just take the rice out. Now you just have a big bowl of hearty vegetable soup with a little chicken in it. And then I ask them to put all the condiments on the side, including the avocado. So I ask them to put the avocado on the side, the extra corn tortilla chips, and any cheese or anything that they're going to put, or sour cream that they're going to kind of garnish the soup with. So last night my soup was amazing. It came with a ton of fresh vegetables in it. It had amazing chicken breast, shredded chicken in it. And then on the side came a plate with tortilla chips, a big old serving of cheese, and a ton of avocado. And I'm pretty sure that if I didn't ask for the avocado on the side, I probably would have got a nice little pretty sliver, like kind of placed on the top of my soup. But because I asked for it on the side, I think they were extra generous with it, because it would have looked crazy to just have a little bit of avocado on there. So then I had the choice for myself of what I wanted to add to my soup, and all I put in my soup was the avocado. I left the corn tortilla chips and the cheese on the side. And I had an amazing dinner with my family, a big bowl of vegetable chicken soup, nothing in it that I didn't want to eat. I didn't have to eat those extra carbs and the rice. Don't even miss it in my soup, because the flavor of chicken tortilla soup is absolutely amazing. My son ordered salmon. My husband had some chicken fajitas, and my daughter had what she usually has, which is a quesadilla, and everyone was happy. And I didn't have to feel like I had to miss out on an amazing dinner, which, if I did not order that way, would have been way too much food. Would have been way weighed down on sauces and extra carbs and a bunch of cheeses. And I didn't have to make that compromise in what I wanted to do for me, so that I would feel good today and know that I kind of stayed within my guidelines, because I feel like I have a right, and everyone else has a right, to read a menu, use menu items as a guide for you, but that you do not have to necessarily order off a menu the way it's actually written out in a restaurant. I always say please, and I always say thank you, and I always make a little joke about how difficult I am when I order. But if you do it in the right way, it's amazing how, there's so many people with food allergies these days, and so many people who are eating in a specific way, that most restaurants and most food servers are very gracious about it. And I know I used to be a food server, and I was always very welcoming to anyone who had any sort of changes to any food items that they had, or any special requests that they had about their food because of specific ways they were eating. And then you just make sure that you're very gracious and very grateful for what they do to serve you, and make sure you had a pleasant experience. And then the more you do that, the more you stay within your guidelines, the easier it is to kind of order that way and catch things that might throw you off. And there was a while when I wasn't so tuned in to ordering off of a menu the way that I needed it for me, where I ended up getting glutenized, or I had a soy exposure, and then the very next day, you wake up feeling bad, and then you feel regretful, and you feel guilty about going out to eat, and then we go down that whole emotional rabbit hole of making bad food choices, which just sends us back, and we don't need to do that, and then we don't need to make the people that we were out feel bad about choices that we made for ourselves that were not so great. So Be very in the moment when you're at a restaurant. Read food descriptions very thoroughly. Do not be afraid to take items out of something that just aren't going to work for you. And then if it can't be modified, if that soup would have had rice already put in it, rice generally, sinks to the bottom of a soup like that. I probably would have just eaten off the top of the soup and kind of like gotten the vegetables and the chicken out of it and just left the rice at the bottom. So that's my big trick for Mexican food, because I do not want to have to go without Mexican food. So I created a workaround for me. And if it was a place that didn't have good chicken tortilla soup, I probably would have had just some chicken fajitas or something and just gone without the tortilla and just eaten the vegetables and the chicken and a lot of guacamole at that point, or avocado. So don't be afraid to order food according to what you have set up for you and your guidelines. It will make going out a lot more pleasant for you. You won't feel so anxious about it, and you'll feel very empowered. And that's a very, very important thing when we're trying to make good, healthy food choices for ourselves, is to make sure you put yourself in an empowered position so that you feel confident about what you're doing and you know that it's the best thing for you, and you can enjoy yourself and your people while you're out. Okay, let me see if there's any other last comments on here. Okay, so Facebook is good. Let me see if we got anything over here on YouTube. I am so hungry right now. If you're hungry, go eat or you have some water or something. Tutorial on Latin food ordering. Yeah, Siobhan, you got to. Oh my goodness gracious. Mexican food is too good without. You don't want to go without. Baker's has it here in Iowa and Nebraska. Okay, cool. So, okay, so for those people who are looking for Mountain Spring, my advice would be to go to their website, find a local distributor, and then see if you can maybe get a delivery service. That is kind of the more expensive way to go. We looked into it and just didn't want to spend the money on, and didn't want to have big 5-gallon things sitting around the house or whatever. So I just get mine anywhere I can find it when I'm out shopping. Sprouts, Kroger, Walmart, and then I just literally empty the shelves, and then we have a cupboard in our house, a little closet, and we just stack them up in there. And then I just kind of go between Pellegrino and the Mountain Valley water. I also highly recommend drinking out of glass as much as you can, even PBA-free plastic. I wouldn't even play around with it. Drink out of glass if you can. And then next week I'm going to do a little video for you guys. I'll do a live about justifying spending money on expensive water and some workarounds for that too, and kind of doing a little, like gut reality check of what we're spending our money on and how we easily justify that, and how bumping up your water to a little bit fancier water can actually do your body some good. Okay, let me see what we got here. Carolyn, thank you. Kim, quick question. I have been doing a 20-hour fast every day for over a month, and just in this last week, I am having trouble sleeping. Any suggestions? I need to know what trouble sleeping means for you. Trouble sleeping, that's different for for some people. Okay, so like some people might think this is trouble sleeping. So I went to bed last night at 12:30. And I woke up at 5:30 this morning, like wide awake. So 5 hours of sleep. Most people would think that that's trouble sleeping, but I felt rested. I felt in a great mood. I was ready to kind of start my day. I took advantage of the extra time. My kids were still sleeping. I had a walking date with my girlfriend Joanna. So I got up and I did some laundry and I cleaned the house and I took the dog out and fed the dog and just kind of had a nice couple extra hours in the house, just kind of me, and it was quiet. And so sometimes when you're intermittent fasting and your body is regulated and your hunger hormones are working in your favor and you're not sugar dependent, you just need less sleep. So if you're finding that you need less sleep, then I would say, I don't know if that would be a sleeping problem. Okay, getting to sleep. I would make sure, if you're having trouble getting to sleep, that you're seeing how much caffeine you're having in a day, and then maybe cutting back on that. Or if your eating window is closing out too late in the evening, maybe try to close it out a little earlier. Maybe reading, taking a Epsom salt bath helps a lot of people with getting to sleep. I know there's a lot of people who use essential oils and stuff like that. So maybe trying to add those into your evening routine. And Oftentimes it's just about the routine that you have set up that might be keeping you from sleeping, and making some tweaks there. So Epsom salt bath, maybe changing your feasting window, those kind of things. Melissa, there's no reason to have, you can have all your water mineral water. There's nothing wrong with that. It all just depends on how you're feeling. I like to mix mine up with regular water and mineral water just for easiness, so I don't have to buy so much. Do you drink out of those bottles, then pour them into something that keeps it cold? Okay, so these I drink at room temperature, and I'll put these in the refrigerator. I just drink them how they are. And then I think the Topo Chico is the one we put in the refrigerator just because it's smaller. It takes up less space, so that's easy to keep cold. And then this is an insulated water bottle, so I put water and ice in here. And this bad boy stays cold for like 24 hours, but I empty it out throughout the day a couple times. So, but this is a good one to take when you're running errands, because you can put ice and water in it and leave it in your car, and you'll come back to your car and it still has ice in it and it's super cold. I mean, mine today when we were running errands was so cold it almost hurt to drink, like it hurt my throat. So this is a good one to take if you're out of the house. And you want, this fits really nice in my purse, and so I just kind of lug it over my shoulder and I take it everywhere I go. The other cool thing about taking this water bottle with you full when you leave, if you're going out to dinner or you're like gonna stop for lunch or something, like I don't order anything to drink when I go out. I drink out of this and it's cold, and so I just kind of plop it on the table wherever we're eating and I just drink out of it. So that's a good way to save some money too. I love Mexican food also and do well with food choices, but find having the margaritas are the best part. Do you ever allow yourself to indulge in a glass of wine or margarita? Yeah, Gwen, I talk about that a lot. When I go out to eat, when I go out and have a drink, I go for quality over quantity. And I can do another video on that too. I don't want to go into that here because it's already kind of getting past it's 9:30 already. But I can do a video on that, and when I go out, I just pick really good quality alcohol, or a really good, like a high-end glass of wine, and then I take as much sugar out of things as I possibly can, and so I ask them to make my margarita fresh. I never drink a margarita that is like a house margarita, and I tell them exactly what I want to have in it. Is there any reason why you have chilled water? Yeah, I love chilled water. That's, I drink room temperature and I drink chilled. It just depends. If I'm going to go out, and we live in Texas, it's hot. So chilled water is nice to have when you're out running errands. So I'll do a video next week on quality versus quantity of alcohol choices. And I'll do something about creating boundaries for that too. I had a really good consult call with someone about creating alcohol boundaries for ourselves. And so I'll do a video on that next week for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of here. I'm going to go take a shower, and I'm going to get to bed early, and then I have a walking date with my husband tomorrow. So I will be on here again tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to share with you guys some very, very amazing testimonials that we've had coming in from our May and June courses, and you guys are going to be blown away at some of the things women are able to accomplish by going through our intermittent fasting course. It's mind-blowing, and I get to hear them firsthand every day when I'm on these consult calls with some of them. And so I will share some of those. So if you are kind of suffering from some things that have to do with aging, some hormone problems, some unwanted weight, maybe some medications that you're kind of hoping that you can do some things in your life with nutrition and fitness and lifestyle changes to kind of help either reduce the medications that you're having to take, or in some cases we have some women getting off of them altogether. You'll definitely want to tune in tomorrow to hear some of those stories. I think that you'll be very inspired, and it will give you some hope if you're feeling very frustrated. I know there's a bunch of people who've been reaching out to me lately too who said they are ready to throw the towel in. I say don't throw the towel in. Just keep getting at it. Keep fine-tuning it. Keep creating those boundaries. Keep creating guidelines for yourself and habits that are gonna keep you in that mode of being positive and healthy, and creating change for yourself by empowering yourself with education and surrounding yourself in a community like this with some amazing women who are willing to share what it is that they were struggling with and what they are doing now, and ending some of their struggles. So definitely want to tune in tomorrow night if you can. If you can't catch us live, always feel free to catch the recordings. And again, I always go back and review comments and try to answer as many of them as I can. So definitely feel free to leave any questions or comments. Our July course is just about full. We're expecting it to probably fill up by the end of this week or beginning of next week. So again, if you're kind of on the fence or you're feeling frustrated, I strongly encourage that you get in into this next group in July. We will be making some changes in August. So I say get in now, don't wait. And then some of the women in our group, we're just in week 2, are already seeing changes, and we're in the second week of this course. And they have been intermittent fasting, but have just been having some difficulties getting to their sweet spot, or maybe weren't doing it correctly, or just not listening to the signals that their body was sending them. And by the end of week 1, they are already seeing changes. So it can happen for you as well. You just have to get in the right environment and get your kind of mind in the right place so that your body will trust you and be willing to follow. So I'm going to cut out of here for tonight. As always, thank you for spending some time with me. I always look forward to hanging out with you guys and appreciate the time that you carve out to hang out with me. And then I will see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.